We discovered, we debate, we uncover the truth that the world does not want us to know.
Convention in Boston.
We explore the paranormal, supernatural, and abnormalities of the earth, and share them here with you.
A plane crash on the southern tip of
Will
Manhattan.
you
I've always
listen,
tried to do what was best for the nation.
or will you ignore what goes bump in the night?
Freedom and justice, I have a dream.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello, everyone and everybody. Thank you for joining us today on the What Goes Bump in the Night podcast. I'm glad to have you here. Today, we will be talking about, do aliens really exist? Yes or no? We have a few guests to talk about that with us.
Hi, my name is Julien Phifer. I am the 48-year-old uncle of Naomi Phifer and brother of Patricia Phifer, and I am glad to be here today. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Patricia Phifer, and I am the proud mother of Naomi Phifer. Best friend to Kalila Campbell, that's online, and my wonderful, handsome brother, Julien. I am a lover of science. I am definitely a lover of extraterrestrials and space. So this is I'm very excited to be here and to have this conversation.
My name is Kalila Campbell, and I am the best friend of Patricia Phifer, and I've seen Naomi, oh my goodness, grow up from a little thing to a beautiful young woman, and I'm interested in aliens and all things that go bump in the night. So I'm here and ready for this conversation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I guess I'll start off with a few questions, and then we'll get into the conversation and see where it leads us. Okay, so first question. The word alien, what springs to mind when you hear it?
What comes to mind is something that does not reside or live in a particular area.
Mm-hmm.
Something that could be, for lack of a better term, human or not, such as species, different diseases and things of that nature can be considered alien invasion of species. We recently had a bout with coronavirus, and there was not much known about that. So that was up in the air about what type of virus it was and where it came from. So that was one of the things those are the things that come to mind. Something that's unknown, or something that just is not prevalent to a particular area.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be particularly from another planet. Just something that we don't know about, or something that's from a different planet, different place completely.
Well, anything that doesn't, we often call people who come from different parts of the country alien to certain areas. So I just think something that is not necessarily that comes from a certain part, something that's almost foreign.
Okay. Uncle, what do you think about the word alien? What comes to mind when you hear that word?
Foreign, different, unknown, remote. I think alien is a word that is attached. It's attached to pretty much anything that we look upon as different, scary, unknown.
Okay, yeah. Kalila, what about you?
For me, when I think of the word alien, what instantly comes to mind is a being that is not of human form and that resides in outer space.
Okay.
Point blank
So
period for me.
Okay, so yours is a little different than uncles and moms. You think that it's from like a different planet completely, But I mean, we all kind of think the same thing of whereas it's foreign to us, so it's something that we don't know about. So my question is, if it's foreign to us and we don't know about it, what evidence can you bring to the table to say, oh, this is throughout history, or it has been proven or shown to us that aliens actually do exist? Okay.
Since biblical times, people have been paying close attention to the skies. There has been talks of things unknown in the skies, and back then they said they were more celestial, like more of a spiritual type thing. Definitely, there's a couple things in the Bible. For instance, Ephesians 6:12 talks about the enemy that we wrestle with is not flesh and blood, but it's rulers and authorities and powers and forces of evil in heavenly places and realms. So that right there lets me know that people were looking to the skies even when they were how can I say, even when they were talking about their enemies. So back then there were no such thing as planes or jets or anything of that nature. So what were they actually speaking about? Second Corinthians also talks about fighting the enemy with weapons that is not of this world. What are, these are conversations, these are things that were talked about in biblical times. It's nothing new under the sun, the Bible says. So I don't believe that this topic is new at all.
Well, what my standpoint on it is that, since we've learned that there are trillions of planets out there, many of which are similar in their makeup to planet Earth, it's obviously a fascinating thing to consider that perhaps there is other life out there. It's a very exciting and fascinating and potentially even frightening notion to think that other life does exist out there. However, we can discuss our opinions on that subject, and I'm happy to do that. However, the problem that we have as of now is that we don't have definitive evidence of the existence of other life. And that's where we are right now. Currently, we don't have definitive evidence of the existence of other life. So we can venture opinions all day long, and I'm sure we can have some very fascinating discussions about our opinions. But that's all they are at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to Kalila in a second because I feel like you agree a little bit with his standpoint. But Uncle, what do you think about Mom saying that the Bible talks about aliens and the existence of aliens? Do you think that could be, maybe she translated in a different way, or do you think that's a factual thing?
Well, factual is an interesting choice of words there, Naomi. Your mom shared some very interesting takes and interpretations of the scriptures, and I'm not here to discount or dismiss any of those, because there are many interpretations of the word of God, of the Bible. I'm not sure that everyone would agree that the Bible is the definitive and authoritative and only source or authority on such a topic. But that's what I would counter to your mom, is that is an interpretation of the Bible scriptures, and it's an interesting one, but I'm not sure it's one that could be offered as evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial life.
Okay, Kalila, do you agree with this, or?
I do agree with Julie, and I also feel that there is, although we know that there's other galaxies and millions of planets and life can exist on those planets, I think there is no concrete evidence to support that aliens do exist. If they've been in the skies and people haven't had encounters and the government is aware, how come there isn't, how come there's no spaceships, that's been captured, or how come there's no concrete evidence? I think something that could be going on is the phenomena of groupthink. Okay, and that's when a bunch of well-intentioned individuals come together and all have the same idea about something. So maybe one person seen a flying star and said it was an alien. Now you have 100 other people who saw that same shooting star and thinks it's an alien as well. So I'm going along those lines.
Okay. Mom, do you have anything to say to that? Because there seems
Well,
to be a disbelief in a little bit, because there hasn't been like evidence that people can actually see, or
I definitely agree with them as far as the Bible not being concrete source, depending on how you interpret it. But my reason for even mentioning it was because you said historically, and I just wanted to go back as far as I could think of to show that people have been looking to the skies for the wonders that they have encountered. I mean, this I also have a thing from Ezekiel 1:20, where he was confronted with a device that he described as a wheel within the wheels, and that there were creatures that were on the wheels. And most people that look at this passage of scripture, they tend to feel like Ezekiel saw something that would be considered a spaceship, the wheels and the landing on the ground with these wheels upon wheels. So I just used that because that was as far as I could go back to say that people were, paying attention to the skies and were seeing things that wasn't human-like.
Well, I was going to bring up something that was on the news a year ago, where some released military videos of UFO encounters, and they were official release videos. I don't know if anybody has seen them. I know Mom, you've seen them. Yeah. Kalila, you've seen them too?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to get your opinion on that. Like, the some new stuff has been, coming into the public. Things about that, a new microscope that's been able to capture, different galaxies. So my question is, how do we know
And
all
that's the
this?
Weber. That's the
The
Weber.
Weber, yeah, the weather
microscope,
scope.
yes.
Yeah. And my question is, like, since this stuff is being uncovered and being put in front of us, like stuff that we can see, people are finding new galaxies. There's been new planets, planets discovered that look exactly like Earth. How don't we know that there are, life on other planets? Like, is it that crazy to think that if there are people inhabiting this planet, that a planet just like Earth, or maybe a galaxy just like the one that we're in, can inhabit people that might look or might not look like us, just, what we call aliens?
Well, I don't think that it's crazy at all. I think it's a very fascinating idea, and it's exciting, and I would be amazed yet not shocked if we discover, based on some of the things that you've said has been discovered and is being looked at by our government. All that stuff is very fascinating, and it wouldn't shock me to discover that. I guess where I am on it is that we just don't know yet, and that's the issue that we have, and people are looking at things, examining things. I know our government, NASA in particular, is hard at work at answering the question. I think that I think where a good start would be to find evidence of the building blocks of life out there in the universe as we know it. And those building blocks are things like oxygen, water,
But they
carbon.
have found that.
Exactly. And so that's what I think that's probably a more focused and more fascinating discussion, is to continue to explore that evidence, because for example, you could see in the atmosphere the frozen oceans or bodies of water in Europa, which is one of the moons of the planet Jupiter. That's water, and that's a source of life. And so I think a more focused discussion or exploration of that sort of evidence in the solar system is probably something that you would want to do. A more worthy discussion is a discussion of the merits of the evidence of the building blocks of life. And then another question is this: what sort of life are we talking about here? Are we talking about an advanced aliens, as we're calling them, quote unquote aliens with advanced technologies? Or are we talking about an intelligent life? Or are we talking about non-intelligent forms of life, such as what you would find with microbes and things like that? I mean, that's life too. And so I think that's a more likely discovery that we're probably on the verge of making with what we have so far now, is perhaps in some of those oceans, in some of those places where we have found evidence of the building blocks of life, non-intelligent forms of life, as opposed to the notions we may have in our mind of some intelligent, advanced form of life, aliens flying around in spaceships.
Can I
Go
interrupt
for
for a second?
Sure.
I just want to say, if NASA has released footage, not NASA, but the military has released footage of unidentified flying objects that are capable of making moves and turns that are not been developed in our known world at this point. What is flying these devices? Is it a microbe?
Well, I would kind of be leery of, what the government releases and what they don't release. So just because they release that footage doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to jump on board to there being aliens flying in the sky, right? I would think about what is their motives for releasing the video.
Well, I think it's basically to get us used to the idea, to see how people would react. First of all, I don't believe that people would be too surprised. Like Julien stated, no one would be extremely surprised. But I think that to know that there's something that can enter our galaxy, our planet,
atmosphere,
and it's pretty scary. And people I think they're going to release it bit by bit, and they have been. Actually, I was going to go back to Roswell, where there was a conspiracy about the spaceship that crashed there, and I believe that was in 1947, I believe, or 1947, I think. But after this crash that took place, people began to run to the site because it was, fire and things of that nature. And once they got there, people reported seeing an object that they had never seen before, and the military was then contacted, and it was cleaned up. And then the next couple of days, people were saying that they were waiting for the news channel to come on and talk about what it was that they had saw that was actually there, the witnesses that were there. And they went on to say that it was a weather balloon. So I believe that the government they hide a lot of things, just like they did the coronavirus. I mean, they hide everything until they can't hide it anymore. And I believe that these beings are going to make themselves known to where there won't be a discussion of if they exist or not.
Well, what I would say to that is that some of that released footage, the videos and the footage, I would take I'm more inclined to take a wait and see attitude and approach with that. Perhaps there is something to some of that. However, again, until we know. We just aren't sure.
What is your opinion, though?
My opinion is this. My opinion is this. There may be something to some of that stuff, but what I would offer is that as far as unidentified flying objects, UFOs, if you look up the definition of that and what goes into that categories, unidentified flying objects are of course, alien spaceships is one of those notions that we have out there, but it's also other technologies and other aircrafts that could be have been utilized and invented and produced by other governments, other countries. Anything that's out there that that's not on the official register of what do you call that, the air traffic control people. There are some drones that are flying out there that somebody could have, that sometimes people make on their own. That's anything that's not identified is an unidentified flying objects. And in fact, countries like Russia, China, and some other governments, other nations, they have developed and produced advanced technologies, and also even the U.S. Sometimes there are a number of government programs. I have a friend who works for a defense contractor, and they produce very advanced weapon systems, and some of those projects are actually top secret, and he, you know, and actually say much about what they're making. So some of those objects that you might see, the grainy videos that you see on TV that people talk about in the sky flying around, some of that stuff is actually aircraft that has been produced by other governments. Some of it is extremely advanced that we just don't know about.
Wouldn't they identify those those spacecraft or those crafts if they were from another country? Why would the military release a video saying these are UFOs if they were able to first, before they even started to release it, were able to identify it from being from whatever country, and saying, okay, well, this is new technologies that we found from this country? Why would they leave it unidentified?
Well, I would have to see which actual videos you're referring to, where the government has identified this stuff as UFOs. I if you don't mind passing that on to me, I'd actually be interested in seeing that. But where I am right now, I haven't seen anything or any of that where they take release some stuff and identified it as definitive evidence of UFOs. I'd like to see it though.
To answer that question, Naomi, I think it would be easier for the government to say that it's a UFO than to say it's Russia and China with aircraft that's flying over and has the ability to detonate a bomb on you right now. So I think it's the easier route to say it's a UFO. You guys have seen this before in the sky, is nothing to be worried about, than to say, no, this is actually Russia and China and these other countries who are plotting against us, flying around in the skies, right? Because if I knew there was a Russian plane flying crazily in the night, I wouldn't be able to sleep. However, if you tell me it's a UFO, and we all kind of know they exist or they don't exist, that's the mystery surrounding them. There's no imminent threat to me if you say it's a UFO. That's what I think of. But if you were to tell me, no, that's Russia scoping out the place, clocking your goings and comings, we would be in an uproar. So I think it's easier for them to withhold the truth than tell us exactly what it is.
And just to piggyback onto that a little bit, there are places around the U.S., the nation, where there are top secret government projects where they are developing advanced technologies. You take Nevada for example. The U.S. government has projects out there where they're working on different technologies, and sometimes people give stuff a run. Sometimes they try it out, test it out, and other governments do as well. So I'm not saying all of that to say that there definitely is has not been unidentified flying objects manned by extraterrestrial life out there. I'm not saying that there isn't, It could be, but we again, it just keeps boiling, coming back to we don't know yet. Well, the evidence is still out there, still
Yeah.
outstanding.
But I wanted to move on to another kind of subtopic within this one. Even though we all have different opinions, if aliens, if we said just, say it right now, aliens do exist. If aliens existed, how do you think they would treat like citizens on Earth? What is the big idea about aliens? Like what do they want if they did exist? What would they want?
Well, I don't think they would want anything to do with us, right? They
Mhm.
have the capability to fly here and move at the speed of light. I would think that they'd be so far advanced that they would look at us and wonder why we're not, right?
Mhm.
And they just come to visit us. I don't think that we would be seen as a threat because, we haven't explored anything out in the galaxy. There's some planets we've explored, but nothing to the extent to where we've found them on another planet, but they've been seen here, right? So I don't feel like they would pretty much want anything to do with us other than to observe and wonder how come we're not as advanced as they are.
Well, I have a different take on that. I definitely think that's possible. But another very intriguing notion would be that you think about some of the Hollywood movies some of the plots of some of the Hollywood movies on this subject out there, and some other life forms could come from some place that has been depleted of some resource that they need for life, and perhaps that's what set them about on their mission to explore the galaxy, to track down that resource, that valuable resource or mineral or substance that they've run out of on their planet, and they're scoping or scouting locations where they might be seeking it, and maybe that's what something that could bring them to Earth, and would they be hostile toward us or friendly, or who knows? But I would imagine if they have possessed the advanced technology to get here, I would probably have the capability of doing some damage, exercising some power or control over us, and perhaps they're on a mission to locate a resource, and they're here to get it, and they're going to do whatever they need to do to get it. Or another thing could be that maybe they set out on their explorations and find us as a primitive form of life that they are curious and interested and fascinated in, and perhaps want to do experiments or toy with us, or use us as some sort of pet or something along those lines. Who knows? Could be. It's some scary stuff if you think about it.
Or this is just another take on it. What if the Bible is true? What if these beings are the angels that have fell from heaven, and now it is time for the revealing of all things that are secret in the Word? If you think about it, these beings I think they would be definitely more intelligent. I think they would have some sort of unique power, because they are bending time to get to Earth if they're actually in another galaxy. This would be almost like something of biblical nature if these things were to exist.
Well, I don't discount that possibility. When you say when the Bible is right, and that's again, that was your interpretation of the Bible and what it was saying. But with that notwithstanding, maybe there is something to that as well. Maybe we would find out in bending time, and that's another thing that I would say or add to it is that our understanding of the laws of physics and gravity, it's just that it's our understanding. That perhaps there could be other civilization, other forms of life that have an advanced understanding and the grasp of the laws of physics and are able to bend time and travel great distances, because we know for example, to travel to other places in our galaxy, in our solar system, that it takes a great deal of energy, technology, and time too. Some of those places you'll be old before you get there. So it's quite possible that our understanding of the laws of nature and gravity and physics and time is limited, and that some other beings have mastered it, figured it out, and are able to travel those tremendous distances. It's a very fascinating subject.
Thinking about all the different possibilities, I did have another question of how do you think, because aliens is something that I believe, and I'm not saying that they don't exist because of this, but aliens kind of fall into the same category as zombies and fairies and all that other stuff, and kind of those myths that we think about in Hollywood and in stories and in movies. Why do you think that the media has pushed the idea of aliens into what we watch, the science fiction that we read? Why do you think that? How did humans come up with this idea? Like, if it's not any truth to it, or it's not real in some way, how do we come up with this idea of aliens and people from other planets?
Because art imitates life. I'm gonna go back to the coronavirus because I remember watching a movie called what was it called, where the lady gets infected and she gets on a plane and then she starts infecting everybody else. Was it Outbreak or something to that?
That's one of them. Yep.
Yeah,
Outbreak,
it was years, maybe about 10, 15, 20 years before we even had that incident happen. And although nobody said it couldn't happen, nobody thought it would. But it happened, and the whole world shut down. So I'm to know, like, if playing devil's advocate, if it happened, if right now we looked out the window and there was a huge spaceship hovering and there were beings on there, what would we do? As seeing what we did when we were presented with a virus. What if we were presented with beings?
We wouldn't be able to do anything.
Be in trouble.
And that's why I let them alone. And I don't go meddling in their business. Okay?
They might come meddling in ours.
Because to each his own, do y'all thing. I'm an ally.
I'm a friend. I come in peace.
I'm glad.
Okay.
Going back to the Bible. I'm sorry. Going back to the Bible. We look at the scriptures and a lot of stuff, like what Patricia was saying. God did, according to the Bible, create Earth and the rest of the universe, much of which is we know very little about. If He put us here, who's to say? That's why I say I don't know. And it's fascinating to find out. I just take a wait and see, show me the evidence type of approach to it. Because we just don't know enough yet.
And I'm glad we're talking about this and putting it in terms of religion too, because in a lot of our literature, the idea of aliens come up. So I had another question that if aliens existed, how do you think that different religions would react towards it? Do you think that some would be more obliged of, having aliens roam the earth together with humans, or like, what do you think the world would think in terms of religious beliefs altogether?
Wouldn't shock me for many to interpret it as the sign of the of end times. The stories in Revelations and the end of the world and punishment for our wrongdoing and evil doing in life and on the planet. And as this is a sign of the times and the things that was discussed in the Bible and the times that are coming ahead. And some may say, those those alien beings are the devil.
Yeah, I think some people would interpret it as being uh, devils, or some people would interpret it as being God. Because, like I said, I would think that anything that they would definitely be more intelligent and more have more, for lack of a better term, tricks up their sleeves than we do. So they probably would show us things that we have never seen before. I think it would go both ways. I think some people would worship these beings, and I think some people would be deathly afraid, and some people would lean closer to their faith because of such a thing.
Yeah, I agree. I would say it's all within the belief, and I can't recite the Bible like Patricia can, but for those who are Christian believers, they might feel some type of way versus those who are Muslim, because I don't know what the Quran says. I'm not Jewish, so I don't even know what they read. I don't know religions. I'm sorry. The Torah, I don't know what that says about extraterrestrials and things of that sort. But I think they would definitely base it upon their religion and what they have been taught or read in their whatever book it is that they read.
Okay, well, that's great that we all kind of believe that, a lot of religions would think differently about it. Mom, I know you have a little bit to talk about this because you usually often talk about aliens. Has there been any any art or any literature that have shown that people, maybe in ancient Egypt, that people have been worshiping aliens or people that they claim to be aliens?
Well, like I said, everything, yes. There is on some of the walls in Giza, on pyramids, they have actually have drawings of dislike things in the sky that people are looking up at. And as I stated before, this is nothing new under the sun. People have been in awe and wonder about the skies and have claimed to see things or have experiences with things that have not been of this world.
Yeah, I think that's been a topic of a fascination for mankind from the beginning. That's you see that on the walls of the pyramids, and then even in some of the art of Europe. So it's been a topic that's been on mankind's mind from the beginning. Are we alone out there? And some of that art that's been depicted, is people's imaginings or what they see as, hey, is possible. Some people say, look at that as evidence. Some people say it's been something that's been on mankind's mind and in man's imagination from the beginning. And that's some of the various interpretations of it.
I don't think I've given my personal opinion on whether I believe in aliens or not. And I do, but I don't think I believe in them in the way that others do. Kind of like, everybody else, I believe that they are kind of from a different planet. But I also believe, because in the Bible it mentions the idea of watchers and watchers watching from above. And I think that kind of relates to aliens in a way. So I believe in aliens because I don't believe that people were just able to come up with the idea of aliens out of thin air. I think there had to be some kind of encounter with these beings, and it had to be, like we seen, written down, made into art. And like Mom said before, art emulates life and what it is. So I feel like I do believe in aliens because I just believe that people didn't, just make this up. So I know there's not a lot of proof that we know of, but scientists have been hinting at it as of late, that there might be, things that actually have come to Earth. And I wanted to ask you guys, I don't know if you know about it, but like different asteroids that have been like microorganisms have been found on these asteroids. And what do you think about the meteors that come to Earth and microorganisms have been found on those? Do you think those could kind of replicate aliens?
I think that is evidence of the proof of our need to expand our traditional notions of what an alien is. We talked a lot about the coronavirus. When you think about it in a way, that's an alien. It's foreign. We knew very little about it, how to handle it, what to do with it, how it's affecting our bodies. That's an alien invader. People are still debating, still a lot of argument. Where's that from? So it's probably it would probably be beneficial to our societies to expand our ideas and notions of what makes an alien and what an alien is. It's not just the men with the big eyes and the funny shaped heads flying the spaceships. It's also those microorganisms that you're discussing that's been found on meteors. It's also such things as the novel, which is new, coronavirus that's turned the world, turned our lives upside down, and we're still trying to get a handle on it.
Well, Mom, I know today you brung up, and that's a good point. I know today that you brung up that you actually had an encounter with an alien.
I did.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Please share.
What? Please,
Okay.
you ain't never disclosed that to me.
I have. I've told this story several times.
Oh.
I thought as a young kid, because I was heavily into church, our family was heavily into church, I thought that maybe I had saw a demon or something. But I remember drawing pictures of it and still thinking that it was, a demon. But as I got older and started watching documentaries and things of that nature, those pictures are actually the thing that I saw. And I was babysitting for my cousins, and their mother and father were out, and it was late at night, and we had gotten all into bed, and I just felt like there was something looking at me. And I pulled my head up under the covers, and I was almost frozen, and this thing was just staring at me. It had no color. It was darker than the room was dark, and it was darker than the room. So it was like almost like a shadow. But at one point I thought it was a hood, but the shape of it, the hood kind of now is like an oval to me. The eyes were piercing, and it almost seemed to if it was reading my mind, knew that I was afraid. I repeated prayers that I had learned in church, and then eventually I got the courage, because I was frozen. I got the courage to jump out of bed, run to my aunt and uncle's room, and let them know that there was something in the room. I wouldn't let them rest, and they got up and they came into the room. And when they came into the room, my two cousins that I was babysitting, my two baby cousins, their eyes were wide open, looking at the ceiling. And to this day, I although at that time I thought it was some type of demon, because that's what I was taught. I was never taught about aliens or anything like that, or abductions. I remember after that I went to church and got prayer, and I have never seen that again. But I've always, ever since that encounter, I've always had a interest in either paranormal or extraterrestrial activities, because I have witnessed and encountered one of the two.
I'm certainly not one to dismiss that. In fact, I have heard of families, friends, close ones, even my kids describe such a figure before as well. And I also would like to add that throughout history, mankind has associated notions of alien beings and demons. There's an overlap there where where some people, depending on your perspective, have interpreted it as a demonic spirit, and others would say that's an alien being. So I think that there has been an overlap in that subject and in that topic. But so I have heard of those similar experiences and descriptions, in fact, as well. And so from my perspective and from my upbringing, I would say that Patricia's encounter does sound more like a demonic spirit. However, what do I know? It just as well might have been something beyond that, or it also could be what someone makes. But someone, I'm sure, would argue it's your imagination and the imagination of others. But I'm not here to suggest that. But I have heard those sorts of descriptions.
Kalila, what do you think about this story? I don't know if you've been told the story or not.
I don't remember being told this story. It's alarming. And my question is, what do you think, Patricia, was the reason that they presented themselves to you? Did they want you to know they existed? What was their purpose of revealing themselves?
I think that some people have the ability to tap into other realms. I have definitely, because all my life I have experienced it, and I think that I was just open to whatever that was that presented itself to me. I was able to see it, and I can honestly say, at this point in my life, I almost feel like I have a sixth sense about certain things, certain people, certain feelings, certain energies that are in the room for me, speaking for myself. And I think that's because of just the way that I grew up, and I've always been open to the fact that these things exist. I cannot, I guess I can't say that if I believe that God exists, something that I cannot see,
Right.
then how can I deny what I did see?
Mm-hmm.
My kids have described that, what Trisha just said, almost the same. So I'll make the hair stand up on the back of my neck because they've described that to me, that same experience.
Can you tell us a little bit about the story that they described? Like, what exactly?
Yeah. Well, it's been reported to me that they woken up to a similar experience where someone was there looking at them, a figure, dark. They could hardly make it out. It's whatever the shape or body was blended in with the darkness, and just frightening eyes. And you, Trisha, talked about the one running into the other room, the kids looking at the ceiling, and it was described to me that the thing went up. So yeah, I've heard that told to me before by both of them.
Yeah, because honestly, I've had the same story, but I've always thought, because it's happened many times, and it kind of, for me, is more of like sleep paralysis.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it, do you think, Mom, that it could have been something like that, like something explainable, and maybe not a alien per se, but maybe a sleep paralysis or something that might have been going on with you at the time? Or do you think that maybe you were just open to that?
Well, sleep paralysis, to my understanding, is something sitting on top of you, and you feeling. Well, that's what I've heard about sleep.
So if I had sleep paralysis, now this could have been the same experience that it seems like a lot of people in our family have been having, but my sleep paralysis, they're not sitting on top of me, but they could be standing on the side of your bed looking over you, and it kind of is similar to what you described. So
well, I mean, I definitely, I could say, because there is a such thing as sleep paralysis. I believe that. My encounter felt more like I guess I don't know. I've had sleep paralysis where I could not move and
Mhm.
I felt like
So
something
you
was
just
there, but I didn't see anything.
yeah.
But
So you think that this experience was just totally different than
to
what you've
me,
experienced? Yeah.
it felt different for me.
I myself, while I cannot report spotting a figure, have definitely had the sleep paralysis experience on a number of occasions throughout my life, and in most of those moments, in most of those experiences, it did feel like there was a malevolent being or spirit present, and there was the challenge for me, or the challenge to me was to act, to move, or even to say a prayer or say the word Jesus. It was like it was a challenge to overcome the fear, to get up, to move, to even say Jesus, to or to pray. And I've had that experience on a number of occasions. I never equated it to, however, never equated it to the possibility that as an alien being. I did, in fact, from my upbringing in the church, associated with a spirit. And so when the paralysis would end, I would either pray, think about it, pray later, or definitely, and that would usually help, as far as getting through that moment.
I think it's funny that we're talking about malevolent spirits and mixed with the conversation of aliens, because maybe our idea of aliens is actually something different. Like maybe demons come into this conversation and evil spirits. And I wanted to bring up this quote by a Greek philosopher, Lucretius, and one of his quotes, where let me see if I can pull it up, but it was basically the world is not unique in any way nor alone. So there are different beasts and different breed of men on different regions of the earth. And let me say, he didn't say planets, he said regions. So do you think that our idea of maybe the experiences that we're describing, or maybe the experiences that other people have had with aliens, are actually more spiritual than they are extraterrestrial or from a different planet?
I would say not.
Mhm.
Because
Okay.
there's been reports of, for instance, there was a couple, a woman and a man driving, and they said that they were abducted, taken up into a craft and examined. So I think that you know what, I just think that there's a lot of secrets to this thing called life that we don't
Mhm.
know about, and we probably won't know until our life has ended. And even still, I don't know anybody who's died and came back and told me there's about any secrets. So we just don't know. Um, I really don't know. To tell you the truth.
Um, what I would add to that is the notion of the mind and the body and the spirit, the brain. When you look at those things, obviously the body and the brain are physical objects, and that you can touch and you can see. But the mind and the spirit, there are fascinating parallels with the notions of aliens from other planets and other places, bending time and coming here easily, and it being beyond our understanding how they could do it. You could also say that the mind and the spirit, it's not bound by gravity or the three dimensions. It's beyond the body. It's beyond it. It travels space and time. It bends time, and the notions of spirits and mind. The mind is not a physical thing. It is a notion. It's an idea. So I think that there's some fascinating parallels when you start talking about alien beings coming here from somewhere else and being beyond our understanding, and then the concepts of spirits and our mind.
Yeah.
Kalila?
Yes, Kalila, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think there's definitely a difference between an extraterrestrial and a demon. And so, depending on which one you're seeing, yeah, it's definitely a difference. I wouldn't say they're one and the same. And to expand upon when you guys were talking about sleep paralysis, I think that's something that people may encounter more often than not, because I've experienced that. I think it's not something that we talk about, but every time I've experienced it and I was unable to wake up, there wasn't really that I felt a being, possessing me or being over me. It's just I was like in a deep state of sleep and I was unable to wake. And then I got frightened because I was aware that I was unable to wake or move, but I didn't feel like I was being commanded or something that controlled my mind or any type of spirit there. It's just I was in some state of paralysis. So I don't think just because you're in a state of paralysis, you should equate that to being a spiritual being over you or an alien encounter or anything of that sort. I think that's something totally different. But yeah, that's how I feel about the two.
Well, I'm glad that we had this conversation. I did say that we were going to end at 6, so we are. But I would like to shout out the People's Program for making this possible. The People's Program is a very unique program that works with students like me and in MPS. They work with us on an individual level and care for us on a personal level and talk about higher education and career. And as a proud People student, I'm glad to say that this program has made me more comfortable with the idea of college. So if you want to learn more about the People's Program, you can visit them at their website, peopleprogram.wis.edu. Thank you again for this amazing conversation, guys. And it's going to lead us into our next conversation next week about demons and spirits and angels and all that different stuff. So thank you again for joining me. I had a really great time.
Yeah,
well done.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys later on What Goes Bump in the Night. Thank you for joining me again, and I'll see you real soon.